Hi and good evening. I'm Soraya Mia and this is AWANI Tonight. How should Malaysia position itself amid Nancy Pelosi's visit to Malaysia? And the generational endgame bill goes to special select committee for further scrutiny. More on that coming up. Nancy Pelosi today made history by being the first U.S. House Speaker to visit Malaysia and Parliament. Pelosi met Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Abdullah, followed by an inter-parliamentary exchange presided by Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Azhar Azizan Harun. The discussion included security challenges, economic opportunities, governance priorities, as well as to foster open line to build better ties between the two nations. Meanwhile, Azhar told reporters that the Malaysian delegation discussed the palm oil industry with Pelosi and to find ways for more engagement between Malaysia and the U.S. over the controversial issue. Azhar also revealed that the Malaysian delegation raised Malaysia's Tier 3 ranking in the U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report. Pelosi's trip to Asia would be higher profile than any in recent history, as the third most powerful person in the U.S. government. We speak to Ira Azhari from Ideas on the significance of Pelosi's trip and its implications with the U.S.-China tensions running high.
To me, it is a clear demonstration of America's intention to for upholding democracy and liberalism in this region as a counter narrative to what China or what they perceive China is trying to do in the region. Of course, security, military is a huge part of this as well. This might be America's signal to the Indo-Pacific countries that America is here with you and to support you military-wise, security-wise. And we all know the tensions that has been going on in the last few years in the South China Sea region. And America definitely has a lot of interest to in this region because of those tensions. And I think, bigger than that, I think it's just sending a message. I think Nancy Pelosi has always been a big supporter of democracy in Taiwan. So I think she's trying to assert that message and ensuring that, China knows that America is present in this region.
Ira says the risk of tensions rising are high if Pelosi went ahead with the Taiwan visit.
I do think the U.S. should tread with a bit of caution here, simply because any military implications on Taiwan will, I think, inevitably result in increasing tensions across the region, including in Southeast Asia. And tensions are already quite high as it is. China has been engaging in military exercises and whatnot in Taiwan for a while now. And the current Taiwanese president is also known to be quite, I would say, confrontational as well with China, asserting Taiwan's autonomy, independence, sovereignty. So I do not think that a visit by Nancy Pelosi there would help the already tense relationship between the two.
What can we make of Nancy Pelosi's quick 12-hour stop in Malaysia today? And how should Malaysia position itself to not get caught between rising tensions of two global superpowers?
Malaysia has always had to play a very careful balancing act between both U.S. and China's interests. Both of them are, of course, major trading partners for our country. And the reality is Malaysia can't really afford to upset any of these two major powers because Malaysia also lies at the crossroads of world trade. We are smack in the middle of the South China Sea that we all know China is claiming. So I think Malaysia has to keep on maintaining this balancing act, this careful sort of, being I wouldn't say a bridge, but almost playing sort of a neutral role, I suppose. And I mean, of course, Malaysia, as we are a democracy, so I think above all that, Malaysia will always hold our stand in that regard, and I don't think we are going to sort of move away from that anytime soon.
In other developments, the government has decided not to vote on the Control of Tobacco Products and Smoking Bill 2022 in the Dewan Rakyat today after 2 days of debates. Instead, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin says the proposed generational endgame bill will be referred to a parliamentary special select committee for further scrutiny. Describing the bill as important, Khairi says it is vital that the proposal is fine-tuned first, owing to different views from the MPs. He also made a plea to MPs to eventually support the bill once scrutinized by the committee and brought before the House again. On Monday, Opposition Leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim wrote to the Prime Minister to refer the bill to the PSSC after it was tabled for the second reading in Parliament. The GEG Tobacco Control Bill wasn't put to a vote in Parliament today, as widely expected. Instead, it was referred to a special committee for further deliberation. We find out how best to temper its contentious clauses tonight on Consider This. The government has been urged to look into the management of foreign workers entering the country following Malaysia's low ranking in the U.S. Trafficking in Persons Report 2022. Padang Rengas MP Datuk Seri Nazri Abdul Aziz, who also sits on the Parliamentary Special Select Committee on Human Rights, says that the way workers are brought into the country is a significant contributor to why Malaysia was ranked poorly.
Cuma saya nak minta kepada Yang Berhormat, sila lihat kepada cara kita membawa masuk pekerja kita ini yang merupakan penyumbang yang besar hari ini mengapa kita duduk di bawah Tier 3. Terima kasih.
Malaysia was placed in Tier 3 watch list, the lowest tier for a second consecutive year. The report noted that the Malaysian government, as it did last year, does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking and is not making significant efforts to do so. Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin, responding to the US report, said it was not reflective of Malaysia's fight against human trafficking, as it was based on subjective assessment and that Malaysia has indeed carried out a number of initiatives to curb human trafficking.
Saya dah jelaskan beberapa perkara-perkara tadi. Contoh, dia kata kita tak ada rumah perlindungan. Kita dah ada 10 rumah perlindungan. Jadi beberapa isu-isu yang telah pun dicatatkan dalam laporan tersebut telah pun saya maklumkan tadi. Jadi isu sama ada ia subjektif atau fakta adalah perkara-perkara yang boleh dipersoalkan. Kalau tadi macam Julau bangkitkan, memang sudah pun dilakukan oleh industri kelapa sawit. Tapi dalam waktu yang sama, mereka masih menekankan bahawa tidak cukup. Jadi ini adalah perkara-perkara yang subjektif. Cukup itu, ya, bagaimana cukup yang dimaksudkan oleh mereka.
The federal government is improving its preparedness to face floods during the year-end monsoon season. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Special Functions, Dato' Abdul Latif Ahmad, says one of the measures include introducing real-time SMS alerts to warn residents in flood-prone areas. He added that the government has strengthened involvement between multiple agencies to avoid issues of late flood warnings. Abdul Latif admitted to poor communication between agencies during the response to the northeast monsoon flooding that affected much of the peninsula last December and earlier in January. He was replying to a question by opposition leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who asked about the government's preparations for the yearly monsoon-triggered floods. Meanwhile, the Energy and Natural Resources Minister, Datuk Seri Taqiyuddin Hassan, concedes that the construction of the Nenggiri Hydroelectric Dam will impact 3 Orang Asli settlements. He says it involves some 1,115 residents in the area. Speaking at Parliament today, Taqiyuddin said the settlements are Pos Tohoy, Pos Pulat and Kampung Kuala Wias. Since the dam's construction began in March, the Orang Asli community in Nenggiri launched various protests. According to them, building the Sungai Nenggiri Dam will affect historical areas, sacred places and ancestral tombs. However, Taqiyuddin claims a study showed 86% of the residents approved of the project. He says the project had many benefits apart from generating electricity, including to mitigate flooding, provide a source for irrigation, provide clean drinking water and create jobs. The Nenggiri Dam is expected to be operational by 2027. 3 Myanmar nationals, including 2 small children, were killed in a murder-suicide early this morning. According to the police, a witness saw a man, 2 boys and a girl, on the MRR2 highway within the Kapong area. The man reportedly tossed all 3 kids from the top of the highway before jumping himself. The witness told the police that he tried to approach the man, but was too late to prevent the act. 3 of the 4 died at the scene. One of the boys survived, but is in critical condition and is being treated at the ICU at the Selayang Hospital. The adult and the 8-year-old female child were found to be carrying United Nations High Commission for Refugees UNHCR cards. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 memperlihatkan kepada kita betapa pantasnya adaptasi teknologi di kalangan PKS kita. Niaga AWANI dan Unified Business akan menyelami perjalanan kebangkitan semula PKS kita melalui segmen Jiwa SME setiap Selasa dan Khamis untuk inspirasi anda.
Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unified Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat sehingga 50%. Jom Unified Business.
Hi, welcome back. The U.S. has killed the leader of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in a drone strike in Afghanistan. Zawahiri, who plotted the 9/11 attacks with Osama bin Laden, was one of America's most wanted terrorists. President Joe Biden, who announced the death, said he was killed in a counter-terrorism operation carried out by the CIA in Kabul. Zawahiri took over Al-Qaeda after the death of bin Laden in 2011. Officials said the 71-year-old Egyptian was on the balcony of a safe house when the drone fired 2 missiles at him. Other family members were present, but they were unharmed and only Zawahiri was killed in the attack. A Taliban spokesman confirmed that a strike took place and called it a violation of international principles. Besides the 9/11 attacks, Zawahiri had also masterminded other acts of violence, including the suicide bombing of the USS Cole naval destroyer in 2000, which killed 17 U.S. sailors, and the 1998 attacks on the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, in which 223 people died.
To those around the world who continue to seek to harm the United States, hear me now. We will always remain vigilant, and we will act. And we will always do what is necessary to ensure the safety and security of Americans at home and around the globe. Today, we remember the lost. We commit ourselves to the safety of the living, and we pledge that we shall never waver from defending our nation and its people.
In other news, China's population will begin to shrink by 2025 as family sizes grow smaller and citizens age. The world's most populous country has been grappling with a looming demographic crisis as it faces a rapidly aging workforce, slowing economy, and its weakest population growth in decades. Officials had relaxed the nation's strict one-child policy in 2016 and last year, allowing couples to have 3 children. Nonetheless, the birth rate has plunged to a record low. According to China's National Health Commission, the total fertility rate has dropped below 1.3 in recent years. While the country is expected to enter a stage of severe aging around 2035, with more than 30% of the population older than 60. Authorities in some parts of China are already introducing family-friendly policies in a bid to combat the slowing birth rate, such as child, housing and taxation support to help reduce burdens on families. Now that's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Soraya Mia. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.